Welcome, everyone, to Becoming Awesome. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're streaming from. I'm your co host, Ray Thomas.
Hey everyone. Hey Ray. First of all, hello Ray. Hello audience. It would be so nice to know where you're watching from today and share with us how your day or your week is going. And as we're preparing to bring on our guests, um, please know we want to know what you want to know, and they're here to answer what you want to know. So any questions that you have, let us know. Ray, what do you think? What are you
Yeah,
hoping to get out of today's session with our guests?
yeah. So, again, this season three, we are, we titled it Behind the AWS Twitch streams because we want to highlight some of the incredible people here and the other shows that we have on Twitch's AWS channel. And the more we talk to other show owners, we're discovering the incredible value that they're providing. Current customers, current users of AWS or the cloud, or potential future users of it. So it's a great opportunity and platform for them to flex their learn and be curious, come in, learn a little bit about the show, who the presenters are themselves, what their backgrounds are, right? Why they created the show. And then maybe tease out some of the incredible use cases where they've maybe positively impacted one of the audience members. So really looking forward to bringing these two gentlemen on. And today we have the big dev theory. So let me bring them on camera. So
Great.
there we go. There's Duan and Stuart. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
pleasure to have you both. Let me change the layout a little bit. So how about this, Duan? Why don't you start off by quickly introducing yourself?
Yes, my name is Dewan Lightfoot, and right now I'm flexing my learn and be curious. I am the second co-host with Stuart Clark from the Big Dev Theory. I am a developer advocate here at AWS, focused on cloud networking, which has always been my passion. Thank you for having me on.
Great. What is your at lab every day? What is your handle of reference to?
Oh, so at lab every day, like I mentioned, cloud networking, network engineering is my background, right? And as I was learning network engineering, I was getting certifications. And on that journey to get certifications, what happens is you got to be really consistent at it in order to achieve that goal. And so throughout my life, things would happen. I would have kids, personal issues would happen, work life balance would get out of whack, and certification would be kind of hard to actually get. So I just made up in my mind, you know what? I need to do this every day. So what I started doing, it just committed time throughout my day to lab every day. And then I started sharing that with others on YouTube and in the tech community. And from there, it just kind of became a thing. And so here we are, labbing every day.
That's such a motivation. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Stuart, and find out your intro and your handle too. You've got a funky handle as well.
I do. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Stuart Clark. I'm a senior developer advocate with AWS. I'm the program owner and host of the Big Dev Theory with my great friend and co-worker, Duan. We host the stream once a week. It's an amazing chance to talk with partners and community about all things with what our partners are doing in AWS.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your handle. Like, where did the big evil beard handle come from? We do see it, but
Yeah.
self-reflection.
Well, it's funny. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not particularly evil, and Big Kind Beard was taken on Twitter, so I went with this. The original story was that I used to post a lot back on certification forums back in the day as Big Evil. And Big Evil came from my love of the wrestler, The Undertaker. I've always been a huge wrestling fan, since I was a child, which, I used to watch it with my dad growing up. And we're talking about kind of British wrestling. And then as we sort of we started to get satellite in the UK, during the 90s and things, we started to get American wrestling. And then there was Mark Calloway, who was the persona of The Undertaker. And I'm such a big fan of Mark and The Undertaker. Such an amazing person. I really like the name Big Evil. Mm-hmm. And then as that when I sort of joined onto social media and things, Big Evil was taken. And I've had this kind of 2-foot beard now for probably about 15 years. And so I just kind of tagged that onto it. And yeah, it just really stuck.
I got to share something quickly before we continue about the Big Dev Theory. And it's because you brought up WWE. Last night, I ended up going to a live taping of a podcast, and John Cena was the guest. So
wow.
I ended up, listening to that, and I ended up being fortunate enough to be called on to ask a question, and I shared that today is my daughter's birthday. We bonded over WWE during the pandemic
Nice.
when I was like working and catching up on like 10 years that I haven't watched because we were all adulting, right? And she wanted me to ask him, who's your favorite female wrestler? She's 13, by the way. So she was 11 when we started watching. And she mentioned Charlotte Flair. And then we took that video. I had actually recorded it, shared it on Instagram. Charlotte Flair actually this morning messaged my daughter saying happy birthday, etc.
Wow.
And then and saying, and how it means a lot that we've constantly that she always supported her, and offering like free tickets to one of the live tapings when she comes back. So it was a really cool thing. Now you brought it up, it was just great.
That's
time
amazing.
Like something really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want to do the kind of Ric Flair woo now.
That's exactly what it was.
Well, I thought it had some reference to do with your reinventing yourself from being a hairdresser. I found that really interesting to find out that you were once a hairdresser. You had a career as a hairdresser before you became a network engineer. Wow, that is full circle.
It is, yeah, it is. There is a sense of irony, and I think when people find that out, about me, that I wrote articles for like GQ, Esquire, hairdressing trade magazines, and everything around sort of cutthroat shaving as well. When I worked in Mayfair, I was one of the things I was particularly good at during hairdressing was cutthroat shaving with a traditional razor, which is kind of quite ironic when you've got this kind of 2-foot beard now. So yeah, it's kind of quite funny.
Awesome. So let's talk about the Big Dev Theory. Let me bring you up, Duan. Talk to us about the ideation and the premise of the Big Dev Theory. Let's dive in. Like, how did the idea come about? When did you all start? And just start from that. Start from there.
Yeah, so I think Stuart should be up here because Stuart's on the team where he works with partners directly. And so we both come from a different organization outside of AWS. And when Stuart came on board, one of the things we always wanted to do was work together. We didn't get a chance to really do that at our last company. And so now that we're here, Stuart, with being a part of the partners, started this show. And then Stuart said, hey, you want to do this with me? And I didn't hesitate. That's my friend, and working with him, he's one of the hardest working people that I know in this world. And so I knew that being a part of this Big Dev Theory would be something that would be inspiring, would be motivating, and would be informative to help the community. So I think Stuart should really talk about how he got started.
Let's get you back up, Stuart. Let's go.
Thank you, Duan. I think so. Just touching on what Duan said, is that both the one thing that Duan and I have in common, and it's the one thing that we really bonded over when I first met Duan, which is a great number of years ago now, is that Duan and I are both subservient to communities and the communities that we work with. As Duan was mentioning, that Duan's produced a lot of very great content over the years, which has helped developers and engineers learn new things and go on to have such amazing, inspiring careers. And this was something that I wanted to do with the Big Dev Theory with our AWS partners, because our partners are creating so many great things that work with AWS, whether they're, from a security standpoint, whether that's AI or ML, whether that's, things that put into DevOps. And it's often challenges which people are wrestling with every day, and our partners are helping solve them. And so it's introducing the AWS community to what our partners are doing with, some of the tooling that they're doing and some of the workflows. So whether that's around observability or security or something. and it's helping connect the two. It's also connecting our partner audience with AWS to show all the awesome work that our partners are doing with AWS and how they become AWS, how they become AWS partners. And it's really bringing those kind of two communities together. So it's taking our developer partners and our AWS communities and kind of merging them all together. I kind of always had this saying of that we're all in this together. And that's how, I genuinely feel about our entire industry, is that we solve problems together. We work together on so many different things. And once we start opening those communication channels with different people, we see the art of what is really possible. And so we take these demos on the live streams, or, problems that someone's having, or challenges that they want to solve. And our partner says, this is how we're going to build it from the ground up. And then this is how we're going to work on it. This is how we're going to troubleshoot it. This is how we're going to break it. And it becomes rather interactive as well with the community and the questions. And, our communities are really vocal. They love asking questions as well. So, it challenges the partners on the things that they're doing as well. And it's just fun. It's seeing live demos, things breaking, things going wrong. But at the end of the day, we're fixing things and then showing how it can all be done.
So what kind of prep goes into your show? I love the idea that this is your point about being subservient to the community and bringing the partners in. I think that's amazing. How do you come up with topics, and how do you approach preparing for it weekly?
So we select the partners, and we've been extremely lucky in the, partners wanted to come and work with us on the show. And this is, it helps because, Duane and I have networked in this area for a long time. And so we've been able to approach partners, and then partners have come to us as well. And we've been able to say, this is what our show is about. This is our audience, and this is what we want to see. And our partners come in really excited with, the things that they want to show our community. And they want to show how they're integrating that with AWS to their communities as well, and the relationship that we've built. So we talk over some kind of use cases of what we want to see. Generally, we start on the kind of the three tiered approach. And so we start off with just basically what might just be an empty repo at the start of the day, empty code. And then we'll build something up in the first episode. And then the second episode, we will build on top of that, integrate different tools or add different services. And on the third kind of stream with a partner, we either break it, or we troubleshoot it, or we do things like injecting problems into it, and then work out how that might be fixed along the way. So we keep it fun and interactive, and as kind of realistic as possible as well. I think it's one thing to show a demo where everything works flawlessly and it's all kind of unicorn, shiny rainbows, and everybody's off to the races with smiley faces. But we know that isn't everyday developers' experience, and they wrestle with complex problems. So we want to show that as well. We want to show the wrestling of the complex problems, ask questions, and just engage with the community to see how they find out, what they think of that.
Yeah, speaking to the community, like whoever's in chat, again, welcome to Bamit and Techie Dilo. Welcome to the show. Do we have anyone here that's actually watched Stuart and Duane? Anyone here from, the big Dev Theory audience, or from a partner that's been watching? If so, just leave a comment. We'd love to talk to you. Duane, let me bring you up because I want to ask both of you actually. But let's start with you. Is there an example of an episode where one of the audience member they took that information and they ran with it, and it actually impacted them and their company, their organization in a very positive way?
Yeah. So our shows have developer advocates. We've had some CTOs and founders from these different partners that we've had. But our last series with Snowflake, we had Dash and Felipe come on, and they were sharing about Snowpark and how you can use Python with AWS, and there's data sets that are hosted in Snowflake. And they kind of peel back the curtain on how to use AI ML in ways that you wouldn't think of. Like, I think one of the examples that Dash did was a generative AI where he used OpenAI along with another portion of OpenAI, I forget the name of it. But anyway, where you can take images, describe the image, and then it will bring back that image rendered. And then it also had a verification piece to tell you actually if the image is what it's supposed to be. A very exciting, inspiring episode. Well, I mentor people outside of just AWS. And some people reached out to me directly like, hey, I've been working on learning AI, ML, and generative AI. And that episode really inspired me. And it kind of showed me some ways that I can use data sets that are freely available. Because one of the challenges of using AI, ML is getting the data to create the models that you want to create. And so since those data sets and models are available on places like Snowflake, and they're already partners of AWS, that integration is already kind of built in when you want to start building out your applications. And so that episode seemed to help some people, inspire some people, and kind of peel back the curtain on some of the ideas and tools that you can build using our partners in AWS.
Awesome. Stuart, did you have like something that you want to share? Was there something that came up, in your mind as well?
Yeah, that was a great example that Duan said as well. So we had Datadog on in season 1, and Rick Sherman was on with Datadog, and Rick's one of those, I go back years with Rick, so it was a really great pleasure to be, to have him on as a guest and to show all the cool things he's doing at Datadog. And Rick was showing a great deal around observability, and this was something that Duan and I have we talked about on the live stream as well. Was coming from our background of network engineering, we didn't often have that visibility into things like applications and what was running behind the network. Often to do that, we were kind of running Wireshark or TCP, dump or port spanning or something like that, catching information. But what Rick was showing us was, how with the Datadog and AWS, he was able to monitor everything that was going on, all the applications, all the containers, all the dependencies, all the versioning that was taking place as well. And I was chatting with a member of the community afterwards who was saying he was looking to deploy something like this. He'd been given this task to a challenge to rebuild and look at their kind of the monitoring and to kind of bring it all together. They were using many sort of different tools and aggregating different parts of data through different teams. And they wanted one team to start using one specific type of monitoring so that they could have that observability and monitoring across all of their both on-prem and cloud infrastructure. So it gives the person kind of that really kind of food for thought of what is actually possible here and how easy this is to actually deploy something and to have that kind of deep integration and visibility into what's happening across all of the different components of your infrastructure, whether that's on-prem or in the cloud. So it's good to see those kind of those things really take off, even if somebody even if what we show just serves as a vehicle for somebody, it gives them, it inspires them to do that. I think, never done that way before. Oh, that's a tool I've never heard of. I'm going to look into that. Right. That trajectory that it will take them on is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So are you learning as you're going live on the show, or have you? Oh, we sparked some passion.
He raised his hand first.
I am constantly learning on the show, right? My background is not in software development. I was a network engineer. And so I started doing network automation and learning Python back in like 2018. So I've been on this journey about 5 years now. And I don't know everything. And so to be able to come into these shows with the partners, it's always an opportunity for me to learn something faster than I normally would. Because if you try to get a library, do it yourself, then you got to read documentation, watch YouTube videos. But while we're live on the spot, I can watch what they're doing. Oh, that's how that's done. Oh, I got this question, or someone in the chat has a question. And it kind of just helps accelerate that learning. I'm really enjoying it.
That's awesome. Anything to ask, Stuart?
How did you come up with the name?
Yeah.
Such a fun name.
Stuart.
Yeah, that was that's a two-part one. So the as Joanne was saying, we're constantly learning. And I think that's one of the great things about the industry that we're in is, you're learning something new pretty much every day. Something is always happening. It's kind of like having word of the day toilet paper. You just, you're just getting that stuff ingested in you all the time. And it just keeps you, hungry. It keeps you excited about everything that's happening, around us. And, when we started this, the big dev theory was looking around, what it was going to be. What did we want it to be? What did we want people to get, from this? And, we were thinking about names, and I just, I wanted to have something that had the word dev in it, but I wanted to be, make people kind of think and things. And I've always really liked kind of parody shows anyway. So, I was thinking about funny names to, to come up for, developer shows and things. And that one just stuck. I spoke with a few people, both internally here at AWS and externally, and just said, what about this for a name for a show? What do you think about this? And this one was the one that got the most likes. And I thought, well, that's great. Let's just rock with that. But when we started this, it was kind of like I came into this, and I've always suffered from imposter syndrome, and it's something I've struggled with for so many years. And I came into this thinking I must know everything that I'm being showed. And that started to really cloud my judgment, especially, what was going to show guest wise and things now, it's doing that I'd have to be an expert in those technologies. And then, somebody who's very wise said to me, you don't need to know that, because if you don't know that, this makes it even better as a host, because you're likely now to ask the questions which the audience are thinking, but might not want to ask. So coming into this, I'm not afraid to say, look, hey, I don't know everything. I'm not afraid to say, I don't know anything about that technology, because it's impossible to know absolutely everything. And so I'm going to go in there and I'm going to ask some questions. Some of them might be, a bit sort of like, but that's the kind of question I want to ask, because it's kind of, I don't understand what this technology is doing, or I don't understand how this is going. So as Duane said, it's a whole learning experience as we're going off. And as the demos are going off, you get this like light bulb moment, or this penny drop moment or something, when the demo works and it all starts happening. And a lot of the time we're seeing this for the first time as well. So that's what makes it just so much more fun.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Thank you so much for sharing that and giving us a glimpse of you, because that's what this show is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it resonates with so many people in the industry, right? A lot of us do suffer from imposter syndrome, but I learned a long time ago, it's there's no shame in saying, I don't know. And I actually encourage people to say, I don't know. This way you have incredible people that can really boil it down, like same thing when we had Aaron Hunter on last week at post show. He really boiled down something for me incredibly well. I said, I don't know how to do that. Took the time, etc. So this is what I really love about what you're doing, Stuart, Duane, what you're all doing with your show, and just helping other people understand stuff that may be very basic to others, but or super complex to others. So just bringing everyone together in that sense.
Yeah, and it's really nice that you exposed the relationship with the partners.
Yeah,
I find that to be very unique. So it's not just about the technology, but how you work together, maybe towards developing something that can be used at a later point.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes left, right? So let's like try to end this on a really fun note. I want to, learn a little bit more about you personally, right? We've been doing like little show and tells. Jenna's been poking and prodding and saying, "What's that?" Is there anything you want to?
Well, I have a question actually, and it has nothing to do with your room, which is where I usually go. Although I'm happy to see what you may want to show us, but I'm most curious about your picture that you have on the advertisement. You're on a boat and you're looking out beyond, but you're inside, not on water. So I don't know if anybody else noticed that about the advertisement that we posted, but what is going on with that picture?
That pretty much it describes my everyday life. That I kind of feel like I'm on a boat, just not on water. and I'm sort of rowing like crazy and just not landing in water. That was taken a number of years ago. I was speaking at a conference at the Excel in London, and they had all kinds of crazy stuff in there. They had boats, and I think the idea was you just took a coffee and sat in a boat. But because we were presenters, I got in there a little bit earlier, so I got the chance to take some goofy photos of just, you know, me in a boat. And there was they had a London bus in there as well. So there was, you know, we took just some photographs in there, and I just, you know, it's just one of those things I always, you know, I've used that photo for just a little while now, and it's just like me just like looking out into the, you know, into the future.
Does anybody have any other questions about Stuart and his boat not on water?
Oh, what about you, Duan? Is there anything that you'd like to share? Like, because I also see like the Muhammad Ali picture in the background, but is there or anything else that you want to share that's personal to you?
No, I just think that it's inspiring, you know, when I talk to Stuart, because imposter syndrome is something I struggle with. He shared that he struggled with, and many other people that I talk to in the community, they struggle with. And one of the things that we all have to realize is that we don't know everything, right? Some people may. I don't know everybody's brain. And I met some extremely smart people that just seem to know everything, right? But I don't. And I accept that, you know, and I accept where I don't know, but I also realize that the things that I didn't know, I end up learning eventually, right? And so embracing that journey, I think that's important, no matter where you are on that journey, because we're all moving forward. And it's easier when you accept where you are, where you're going, and build a community around that.
Yeah. Well, one thing I know about you, just in my observation, Duan, is you're always smiling and you always seem to be so happy. So what you may struggle with imposter syndrome, like we all do, but you don't suffer with being jolly. So what is your secret to happiness?
I went through a rough childhood, so anything I face today as an adult, I don't think can measure the things I went through as a kid, you know. And plus, I have 4 kids, and so my kids all have different personalities. They keep me alive, and I'm just thankful. Like I mentioned, the things I went through younger made me appreciate everything that I have today.
It's awesome.
Thank you for sharing.
That's awesome.
No
And Stuart, like, what about you? Is there anything that you want to share, or last few comments?
I'm going to bend down. I'm going to pick something up now. All right. So I'll share this with you.
Oh.
So I played guitar now since, I'll share that up. I'll put it near my camera.
Wow.
There you go.
Look at that.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It's a piece of art.
Yeah. Oh,
why do you not have that hung up on your wall?
It's
so nice, right?
I've never trusted the wall hangings for guitars. So yeah, I don't. I keep it in its case full time. It's called a Case Queen guitar because of the condition of it. It's that guitar was made in 1988, and I first played one when I was probably about 14 years old. My father took me to a music exhibition in London, and I played one of those, and it's the signature model by one of my favorite guitar players, Steve Vai. And it took me 30 years to get one of those guitars.
Wow.
Always wanted one. And then 2 years ago, I managed to find one because they're quite rare. And I managed to find one not too far from me. But for me, that is one of those things that about chasing your dreams. And sometimes, you know, you can chase your dream and it'll take you a day. Sometimes it'll take you a week. That one took me 30 years.
Wow.
So it's kind of a reminder to me, never give in on anything. And if you want something bad enough, you're prepared to put in the work and the dedication and the time, then really anything is possible.
Really, thank you for sharing that, Stuart. And it was an absolute pleasure to meet both you and Duan. We have just a few seconds left. Again, remind the audience, when is your show? When they can watch you weekly?
Tuesdays at 11 Eastern time, 8 a.m. Pacific time, or if you're in the Shire like me, 4 p.m. UK time.
Nice. Well, thank you both so much. It was a pleasure meeting you both, learning so much, and the impact you're making for the developer community and our partner community. And excited to hopefully see you again in the future. All right, take care, everyone.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.